worked you to death since you came back from your lovely vacation. I'm sure it's all a blur now. I thought, geez, that's so unfair. You come back to do this, do that.
Oh, I don't need to speak.
You might. You're important.
I don't think so.
Hello, everybody.
I thought you were important.
I'm testing the mic, but I'm also letting people know if anybody's online, we're online.
We're online? Okay.
Very good.
I'm going to watch my mouth.
No profanity stuff.
You're amongst friends. You're amongst friends, don't worry about it.
Okay. Computer on would be really helpful.
Lynn, we'll move the table back after.
They're still chatting downstairs.
Okay.
Give them a couple more minutes. It's coming up. 12:30. I guess it's my turn, boss.
Barb? Sonia's just rousting the troops.
Morning game.
I don't know if there's anyone. You want anyone?
You okay?
The kitchen.
I am.
Thank you. No, that's good. Thank you. Okay. So are we getting one from the people? Yes. So, okay. I will, I'll get on that this week. It's been open on my computer for ages.
She actually tried to have a vacation.
Well, I'm gonna, yeah, so I'm gonna try and get one printed before summer, right? Yeah.
Because I was looking for copies of the thing, was there used to be a few.
There used to be a few, but I don't think there's any more.
Yeah, we all nabbed them and.
Okay, thank you. So that's 16, 17.
We can start with regrets, like Olga, Margaret Springle.
And also other Margaret.
Other Margaret, two Margarets. Margaret squared.
I gather Monica is not.
Right, the Blinches aren't here. I was trying to think of people that weren't here, and
That feels like pretty much everybody.
Okay.
because Mary was downstairs, I thought she was. The Jones, Teresa, and
It's like Ben took the kids home.
oh, okay. Can't blame them for that.
We had to make a choice. One of them had to stay.
Yeah.
Should I just put people's names down instead of numbers? I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I cannot
I used to
find
only
any.
put numbers, but then that's when we were up in the 30s.
Yeah, and you know, I have no idea what a quorum is. I just carry on because I could not find it listed. I think it's hidden for a reason. There were a few more coming. The Joneses, Mary's down there, Mary Fleming. Oh, no, there's Ben. Yeah. Right? I know, it's hard to, makes me feel tall. There's Gary, I saw him. Gary Fleming. And Sharon. Yes. I did. I told her to bring people up. Obviously, she doesn't follow. No, she's not. Maybe I'll do one more round and then we'll get started.
Yeah, and then we'll start.
Because it's holding up everybody else.
I think they're probably just cleaning up down there. Is it on?
I lost Mary. Yeah.
Let's start. And
Yeah, let's go.
maybe let people know that they should come to the mic.
Yep.
Ask a question, and they don't need to repeat what they've asked.
Okay. Okay, Sandy, where are you going?
To get my files.
Okay.
David didn't pick it up. I left it for him.
Okay. I'm going to call us to order because people have been waiting and it might be a lovely day out there that we might want to spend some afternoon. One reminder, if you have questions, Garth has kindly set up a mic and that just makes it easier for everyone to hear. So if you have a question, please use the mic. And I am going to say welcome to everyone. I feel like I've got Vanna White with me now. Vanna Garth. I'm going to open us in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we engage meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of grace. Lord God, as we make decisions, continue to remind us that all we do today should be in honor of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen. So again, welcome to everyone that's here and to those that are online. And I'd like approval of the annual meeting minutes of February 2nd. Bob moved and Candace second. All in favor? Any opposed? Sustained? No, carried. So I will then just carry on with my report, and it's hard to be brief, but I've tried to be. So time seems to pass so quickly. As I look back, we again have committed and completed so much. I could not enter the church without recognizing how much must go on behind the scenes, noting the wonderful music each week, thanks to our music director, Monica Admiral. I understand our Facebook page is also quietly maintained by Monica. Our sign outside is always updated, and the hymn numbers are also up to date, thanks to MacNeill's personal photographer, Bruce Papke. And finally, the AV sound system. Where would we be without Bev Leslie and the team? Each board will provide you with highlights of their activities. However, I do have to note their efforts, and there can never be enough thanks. For a first time in my MacNeill lifetime, church had to be canceled 2 weeks running. The Canadian winter did get the better of us. However, we made up for the absences starting in March with St. David's Day, my favorite celebration, featuring Welsh cakes provided by Bev Leslie and Garth Greaves. Then on to a meaningful Lenten season with contributions from Heather Hobbs and Candace Jones. Thank you for sharing your talents. Flowering the church for Easter is certainly a beautiful celebration of new life to come. Thanks to Lynn Bond, who faithfully organizes such a lovely event. Easter would not be complete without a hearty breakfast, masterfully prepared and served, with thanks to Al, Jen, and Malcolm for organizing. During the Easter season, we had the distressing news that Susan St. John, our Minister of Worship and Pastoral Care, was taken ill. The deacons team immediately started to address the needs for the congregation. Credit to both Heather Hobbs and Bob Bond, who led the team to ensure nothing was missed. Along with our usual speakers, Paula Papke, David Jones, Bob Bond, and Susan, the deacons were able to arrange the following guest speakers: Mike Wood-Daly, Jan Wood-Daly, Terry Dempsey, and Deborah Dempsey. Each of these speakers left us with a blessing. As a community, we have been fortunate to have our pastoral care team who have provided needed services to all the congregation in the absence of Susan. Work of our Christian Ed team is ongoing. Sunday to Sunday, our youth are given wise and thoughtful lessons. For the adults, there was again a wonderful session of bread for the body, food for the soul. Many thanks to Paula Papke for her leadership and the volunteers who provided such satisfying meals. And we cannot say enough about the puppeteers. The originality and the creativity is phenomenal. The Deacons Board remains faithful and dutiful to the growth and development of our church. We are so fortunate for their dedication and knowledge. The Management Committee, led by Monica Knott, who is fearless to all surprises, as our building does provide surprises each and every day. Monica and her committee work tirelessly to maintain a beautiful building. The Outreach and Service Committee remain focused and committed to look for opportunities where MacNeill can make a difference. If you want to be nourished both mentally and physically, do attend a Saturday Women of MacNeill's meeting. You'll be well fed and provided with interesting topics. The MacNeill Opportunities Committee continues, led by Bruce Papke and Garth Greaves, and we are fortunate for their dedication and willingness to serve. Let us continue to feel hopeful and blessed as we move forward in the life of MacNeill. And that's my report. So, moving on to a more scintillating topic, Jonathan, the budget. Can he email it to you? I'll make sure.
Yeah, we don't have any.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Oops, thank you.
What are we doing?
Okay, so did anyone get a copy, or are they missing copies, or two? I got one. Okay. I think Lynn has one. Sure, or Lynn has. Do you have one for Mary there? Yeah, thanks. Okay, so overall, I think things are going quite well. You'll notice that our envelope offerings are pretty close to what we expected in our budget, so that's a good sign. Other and rental income is a little higher. We did move some money to help pay for one of the furnaces. So we moved some money from investments into our operating because we paid, I think one of the furnaces was like $5,000, give or take. So that's why the other offering is up a little higher. We are also increasing the daycare rent. I don't know if David might get into that later, but that we're making a small increase for them going forward. Hasn't kicked in yet. We're still signing contracts. Most of the boards are well within budget except for management, and that's mainly because of the furnace issues we've had for the first, I guess it was January, February, roughly, David? Yeah. So we had some expenses there. You'll notice utilities is high, and mainly that, and I think I mentioned this at the annual meeting, is that the majority of our heat expense is actually in the first 5 months of the year, and then even in December our heat is fairly low because we're paying for November when December kicks in. So I think utility-wise we'll be fine by the end of the year as well. So it leaves us looks like about just over $3,000 over our expensed budget. So, and the majority of that can be wrapped up into utilities. So I think we're on pace to be where we want to be for the rest of the year, and givings have been quite good through the year. I think it's been a good year so far financially. Any questions? Nope? Okay. That's terrific. I'd like to make one amendment, though, to the CE report. My wife would like to mention that I really don't do very much with the puppets. And I get way more credit than I deserve. So I just hold the microphone. That's all I do. Okay. Thank you, Garth. Thank you, Garth. And that when the ad hoc mug committee comes in, you'll be right there to run it. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Any other questions for Jonathan? Everyone is comfortable with the report?
Thank you very much.
Yes. And maybe I can just give Jonathan a highlight because he helped me this year electronically deposit my money. And so it's much smoother and I don't have to worry about it. So it was a good way to do things. I'm going to ask for Christian Ed for Lynn to come.
All right. Christian Ed sponsored the Springtime Food for the Body, Bread for the Soul, with our Paula leading us through a study on the poetry of resurrection, which is interesting and challenging for some of us, me being one of them. Time of learning ways to write poetry and thoughts down on paper. Our puppet ministry, Jessica and Jonathan, are sharing the duties in support of that, and they're doing a terrific job in getting all the kids involved, and also not only the puppeteers, but she includes all ages, so the little ones get to have a role when they're here as well. And she purchased 3 new puppets. So we have 3 new puppets in our family of puppets. The church family picnic, as you know, is the 22nd, and we're asking you guys to chip in with either salads or chips. We will provide the rest of the menu. And your lawn chairs, because hopefully Mother Nature will let us be outside this year. And Jess has games played for anybody young at heart, so you all get to take part. And we will be sending graduation kids out to those in our church family who are graduating at some stage in their education. Any questions?
Okay, then I'm going to ask Heather to come forward for the deacons report.
Actually, it's a bit of a tag team, so I'll do the first part. Bob will then do the next 2 parts, and then I'll invite Garth to give the music report. So the first item is the Baptist Distinctives document. Following MacNeill's 2024 anniversary, at which the Reverend Blake AD preached and then conducted a seminar on Baptist distinctives, the deacons affirmed a one-page Baptist distinctives document for use within MacNeill based on Reverend Blake's own research and written document. We are grateful that he allowed us to use this material, and it's gone over to Outreach, who are deciding how to use that. The second item is Lent, Holy Week, and Easter. Our Lent, Holy Week, Easter worship season offered opportunity for personal meditation and deepening of faith under the theme Sacred Crossing. The community Good Friday service took place at MacNeill, at which the familiar Passion scriptures were read so beautifully that to some it felt like hearing them for the first time. Easter Sunday was a day of jubilation and joy. The spoken words of all services were underpinned and supported by marvelous music, choral, solo, instrumental, chimes, all pulled together by Monica, our intrepid and amazing director of music. Our thanks to everyone who contributed to the planning and the unfolding of these special services.
I don't think anyone will get a germ this far away, so I'll try it without the mask. The next two items are basically to bring you into some of the background work within the Deacons Board so you're aware of these things. The first of the two is to speak about the mutual annual review with the Reverend Susan St. John. On February 22nd, two of us met with Susan in a planned mutual review process. It focused on her work both as minister of pastoral care and of worship. The discussion was constructive and positive and encouraging. Susan reflected about her academic work in studying a family-sized church, which this is, with around 50 active members. She recognizes her role aligned with the literature on this kind of church, her role as encourager and protector. She spoke of wanting to better live out her purpose of equipping and encouraging and supporting. That's her own self-goal. Opportunities were brought forward from the deacons for Susan, the main one being that the Sunday morning welcome life of the fellowship period be understood and experienced as a second movement in leading the congregation in worship. Stage one being the prelude. We emphasize that the overarching principle here is that in worship, the congregation isn't an audience. God is the audience. And we, both the leaders and the people, are offering the liturgy, the work of the people. And that shifts the way things are conceived and presented. A second sort of business piece is the planning that's gone into addressing Susan's leave of absence. The week leading up to Easter, it was a shock to learn of what had happened in her brain bleed. It's been very encouraging to hear of her steady recovery, and to have Susan and Pat here today was wonderful. We have kept in continuous communication with Susan, at first through Pat, and then directly with her as she's been able. And certainly we have stayed away from bothering her with any day-to-day stuff of the church. We worked, pat ourselves on the back rather nimbly, to fill in the various immediate gaps, which resulted in Holy Week and afterwards. In consultation with Sonia, moderator, and Jonathan, treasurer, we have worked at an appropriate response to her absence in terms of business planning. At its May meeting, the deacons agreed that the terms would look like this. She is on a 3-month paid medical leave of absence from us at this point, which means that on July 20th, she becomes able to apply for employment insurance, EI. And it's important to have a plan that is flexible, that recognizes she could come back. We don't know when. It may be soon. It may not be for a long while. We don't know yet. And so we need to be prepared to support her recovery time as well as carry on our way here. A note of thanks to the pastoral care team who have stepped up to provide coverage right through the end of June, week after week. David Jones has been invited to serve as pastoral care minister starting July 1st. And for that service, we will provide an honorarium. And at our June meeting, which is next week, we will address a plan to arrange a person to serve as interim worship coordinator as of July 20th. Well, by the end of, you'll remember that July 20th is the last day of worship here at MacNeill. Then we go off into the, the progressive dinner, where we go from church to church. So we have covered the responsibilities up until that point, but at that point, then it would turn over into a position with an honorarium as well. Maybe I should ask, are there any questions about that?
I just wasn't aware of any printing of when the summer services are being held and where.
Oh,
There's nothing in the bulletin, I believe.
it hasn't gone in news and notes yet, but I guess we know that the first 3 weeks are here.
I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
Because I need to know that for.
Right. The first 3 weeks are here, and I can't tell you who has the second inning. St. Cuthbert's and then Westdale United. Okay. But you're right, we have to get that in the bulletin. Yeah. And then Garth is going to talk about music.
And all Garth is doing is reading Monica's words. This is from Monica. So, the music program at MacNeill has been hard at work in the first part of 2025. We welcome new members, Catherine Bouvard and Chris Wilson, into the choir, who have become 2 valued members of this group. In January, MacNeill hosted an ecumenical prayer service in which several guests of the local churches joined the choir. And it was a grand night for singing. I think that's a song. Anyway, our Lent season was begun with a new anthem, I Believe, which we also sang at our Good Friday service, again with guest members from local churches. The Good Friday service featured solos by Brian Power, Bev Leslie, Ben Gesh, and also the MacNeill Vocal Quartet. Didn't know we had a name, but we do. Catherine, Bev, Brian, and Garth, singing the Lord's Prayer from the balcony. So many sublime moments added to the rich liturgy. This past season saw us sing Mozart's Laudate Dominum and Edwin Hawkins' Oh Happy Day. It was exciting to be part of a ministry that can do both of these genres and do them well. We welcome several guests on Easter Sunday who joined the MacNeill Organisti. That's the players over there, just in case. The band. and the choir. Mother's Day saw a trio of youth singing the song "The Gift of Home." We hope we will hear them again before too long. The MacNeill Caroliners continue to ring regularly throughout the year, most recently on Easter and Ascension Sunday, and next will be Father's Day next week. This group is always willing to play and highly motivated. Our rehearsals are always a fun time. So planning already begins for the next church music season, which will include, yes, a super fun talent show in November. Monica also hopes to purge some of the more ancient files in the choral library this summer with advice from the music committee. You know who you are, so stay tuned, music committee. On behalf of Monica, thank you very much. Any questions? That's good, because Monica's not here.
Next, I invite you to consider the Association of Welcoming and Affirming Baptists. You will be undoubtedly aware that in North America, if you say the word Baptist, the majority, population-wise, the majority of that would be taken up by the Southern Baptist Church, and its positions are politically and socially known in the States and by us who watch the drama there. In Canada, it is similar in a way that the word Baptist is, in most people's view, a very closed and restrictive bunch of people. And we know here that that's not the only way of being Baptist. And there are a few associations within the States and internationally that uphold a different understanding, a different openness, a different theology, and Christology and ecclesiology. Those are good words. The Association of Welcoming and Affirming Baptists was introduced to me, to some of us, at the fall meeting of the Gathering of Baptists when the executive director of AWAB came to be with us and to talk with us. It has been known by other churches. You will have read in the little handout, if you haven't seen it already, Garth has it if you need one. Burlington Baptist and First Baptist Church Guelph have been members of AWAB. They're the only Canadian members to this time. The deacons have considered and made the recommendation to council at the last council meeting that MacNeill become a member of this association. And the council affirmed that, so we're bringing it to the membership today to ask you to consider affirming that we would join AWAB. You've had the material for a few weeks. I hope you had a chance to look at it. You are invited to ask any questions about that or any positions about that at this point.
Bob, maybe I could ask for a seconder, and then we'll have discussion. Malcolm is the seconder.
Sure. Yeah, the motion is that MacNeill Baptist Church apply for membership in AWAB. There's a bit of a process. We have, if you've had the chance to read the document, you'll understand that we have to demonstrate that we belong. And the process to do that is to tell the story of back when we made our own decisions and actions on the basis of being open, affirming, and welcoming. And so we have a little bit of work to do to pull that together. We kind of narrowed it down that it was during Barb Bishop's time and also at the time of the BCLQ declaring no same-sex marriages that this church made its position. And we'll have to clarify that and make our appeal if you decide that we should join. There is a financial aspect to it, but they are very gracious, and I don't imagine we're going to put forward the amount that they're suggesting, but I don't think that should stop us from making the approach. Anyway, if there's no questions, maybe we're ready to call.
So if there are no questions, all in favor?
Oh, we have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Is it an annual fee or
Yes,
a one-time fee?
annual.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstained? It's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
And then there is another piece that Heather's. You want me to do it? Okay. Just to let you know that this dialogue series of the Niagara Hamilton Association, it has continued since last autumn. We're off for the summertime now. It begins again in September through November. Myself and Lynn, Mary Fleming, Heather Hobbs, Sharon and Malcolm, Susan and Pat have been attending monthly. We have the largest contingent there, that's for sure, and engaging in that process. Just so that you know, they go on, and it's really next fall that they turn to the burning issues, and we'll see where that brings us by the end of the process, at the end of November. That's the report from Heather and me.
Thank you, Bob. And a thank you to the group that faithfully goes on a Sunday evening, drives there, commits, speaks, and supports our thinking. So I really appreciate that as well. David, I'm thinking you're doing management?
I am. Yes, Monica is in Kingston this weekend, helping care for her father. First of all, we want to thank everyone who has helped management over the past 6 months. As always, nothing can be done without a few extra hands, and so that's been much appreciated. Right? You'll notice if you go around the side of the church to where the fire escape is off the boardroom that it has been tidied up a bit. Right? And there has been some gravel laid, and I believe, where's Gary? Oh, wait. Yeah, at least one or two. Just the one slab. I have others available. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. So like a sidewalk slab. All right. So that has just made it more sturdier. In the event that we should have to use the fire escape, which hopefully will not happen. Yes. Thank you, Sandra. Yeah. Okay, the roof over the bell tower, once again, is in need of some repair. The roof man who we have hired before has been contacted, and several folks have offered follow-up as needed regarding that. Roofs seem to be an ongoing issue around here. And the belfry itself continues to experience a small leak, which at this point is being managed by a bucket and a pump, and a lot of good cheer from those who are willing to go into the tower and examine the leak and the results of that following a heavy rainstorm. All right, in the kitchen, The knob on one of the gas stoves was replaced recently, as there was a small gas leak coming from the burner that it actually controlled. Thank you, Sandra, for that. And as you may remember, the gas stoves that we have now were purchased, I believe, about 25 years ago. And so they are starting to show some signs of wear. There are other knobs that are loose at this point and will need to be replaced as well if we decide to do that. And the cost to replace one knob, just the knob itself, is in the area of $50, all right? Yeah. And so there are 6 plus... Five on each stove. So you just add that up, and it can be quite expensive. And so the management board is looking at, well, is it time to actually replace these gas stoves? There has been some discussion with the daycare. They would be more than happy to see them go out the door and replace with electric stoves, given that there is some risk with these stoves, especially concerning the kids, right? And anyway, so stay tuned, all right? Contract negotiations with the MSU have been more or less completed, and at this point, it's just a matter of sitting down or doing so virtually to sign the contract, right? The contract begins, of course, May 1st. And as John mentioned, that has not been reflected as yet, or the increase in rental fees for the daycare has not been reflected yet in the report on the budget. The increase means that at this point, for space and utilities, that we'll be receiving $2,200 a month, right? Which we felt as a board and in consultation with our treasurer was, adequate. Remember that costs have gone up over the past while, not only regarding utilities, but any repairs that need to be made. And stoves are a good example, right? That are shared with the daycare. Right? Our custodian has indicated that she will not always be available to open and close the church on a Sunday, and so the management board is currently looking at a process or procedure to put in place in the event that that happens. Right? And we're hoping to have that done by the end of the summer. And there was a request made recently for keys to the sanctuary. And we're looking at, okay, how do we manage that in a way that, there seems to be all sorts of keys, available, doesn't matter who you ask, they have a key, right? And so we're trying to do something about reining in the number of keys that are out in the community, but also to come up with a process whereby a key can be lent for someone who wants to access the sanctuary and to practice, for example, a piano or voice. Right? And of course, as usual, there is a ever-growing list of jobs that need to be done around the church. The garden, for example, has become something of an issue and is badly overgrown at this point, and we're going to need to decide how we're going to manage that. Right? Yeah, the vegetable garden, yes. Yeah. And I think that's about it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David, and the committee. Al, for outreach.
I've divided it into two sections. One is outreach. We're putting together a welcome package for visitors, new arrivals. The package will include our welcome card, a copy of the Baptist distinctives prepared by the deacons, and a description of our music program. Barb volunteered to assemble the package, and she presented a very well-designed prototype to the board. We will present the package to the deacons board and to Monica Admiral for feedback. We have large welcome posters that need to be mounted outside on U-posts in the King Street lawn near Glennis Garden this summer. And this is actually a request for volunteers. Anybody who wants to help with that, talk to me. The other section is service. The board's spring donation requests were sent to John, who distributed the funds to a number of community organizations. Gift baskets were delivered to shut-ins for Easter, and it was a very pleasant job to undertake. It was enjoyed, I think, by the people we visited and also by us, the visitors. Donations for Phoenix Place on Mother's Day. We contacted the YWCA, who represents Phoenix Place, was contacted to confirm that our list of appropriate needs was up to date. A few items were added, and as usual, I'm always very impressed with the generosity of this congregation. It's quite incredible. The boxes and bags of donated items were picked up by a representative from YWCA to be delivered to Phoenix Place. In March, members from the board, accompanied by our spouses, attended 2 meetings with students in student open circles. These meetings were meant to celebrate the work that the students had accomplished as they volunteered in the community. Jeff Drury welcomed us. I think you know that Mary Beth has been recovering slowly from a concussion. Students shared their individual stories, and those of us from the board who were there honored the students and shared why MacNeill is pleased to be involved with student open circles. Donations to the breakfast program at Hess Street School will be addressed in the fall, early in September actually, and we'll check with the school to ensure there are no changes to the menu. We're considering a clothes drive at the church. We're investigating where best to disperse the collected items. We're also looking at the possibility of volunteer opportunities for our youth at a church sale or a food bank. Summer services, we've just been told, are at MacNeill for the first 3 Sundays in July. Preparation for lemonade and treats will fall to those boards who would normally prepare coffee hour those Sundays. So, you've been warned. In September, deacons and management will trade Sundays for coffee hour prep. Management will do the first Sunday, deacons will do the second Sunday. Once again, you've been warned. And that's my report. I like to talk, so if you have questions, I'm ready. David. I'm sorry? September. Yeah, you guys are doing the first Sunday in September. Make sure you're here. Right. Okay?
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'm going to ask for a motion to accept the 4 board reports. Lynn, and a seconder, David. All in favor? Any opposed? Carried. So we have ad hoc committee reports. Al, that's you, newcomer report.
So, you've heard, I think, that Ahmed is a wonderful concrete landscape worker, And if you want to get an idea of the quality of his work, look at my driveway, which he did about 2 weeks ago. It's beautiful. Ahmed is always present when the lawns are being cut, but that's the end of his sons, Saleh and Ibrahim, are the ones who actually do all the mowing and trimming. They actually have 7 clients in their neighborhood whose property they landscape, like the boys do. And they've contracted also to mow the lawn of one of our church neighbors every 2 weeks. Rhonda had been suffering from gallstones and was recently in hospital for surgery to have her gallbladder removed, and she is now at home recovering. Unfortunately, there has been no news concerning actions on the refugee status of Basil and his family. And that's my report. Any questions?
This is partly to try and close the loop. Did anything happen ever with that legal issue trying to get the wages due to
No, there was a lawyer from Burlington Baptist who was trying to follow up on that, and it just died. It was unfortunate. Yeah, a painful learning experience for Ahmed. Any other questions?
Okay, MacNeill Opportunities Committee.
There are events that happen in any given year that get emblazoned in your brain, and you know where you were when that happened. Some of them are coming to your mind right now. For Garth and me, it was June the 12th, 2022. 3 years ago, this week, the Opportunities Committee was formed officially, and if you were here, you voted unanimously to let us do our work to explore different options for the future of MacNeill. We have worked tirelessly for 3 years. In fact, during most of 2023, we negotiated with the McMaster Student Union. We were hoping that they would achieve charitable status and we might be able to transfer the building and property to them and basically reverse our roles with the daycare, where instead of them paying us rent, we would pay them rent. That didn't happen. The board of the MSU chose not to pursue that any further, but that took up a year of our time. In 2024, we spent most of the year dealing with the Hamilton Community Foundation and Indigenous representatives with a similar sort of plan to transfer the property to the Hamilton Community Foundation. Those two avenues of exploration, the MSU and the Hamilton Community Foundation, are still on the table. But in the spring of this year, in 2025, the Opportunities Committee felt as though we had exhausted our energies as well as our expertise in where we are heading with these ongoing explorations. And we came to the conclusion that we really need some expert outside help. One of the organizations that we dealt with in 2022, the fall of 2022, was an organization called the Trinity Centers Foundation, and they actually now have changed their name. They call themselves Relevan, and they are an organization that has many, many resources dedicated to assisting churches who are interested in repurposing their buildings. Garth and I have met and made contact with Mike Wood Daly. You all know Mike. He's been on our pulpit several times. Dr. Michael Wood Daly is Relevan's Director of Research. And we have been working over the last couple of months, actually, to try to get him pinned down to meet with him. And we just heard this within the last couple of days that he has suggested meeting with the Opportunities Committee on, I think it's Thursday, June the 19th this year. It'll be a Zoom meeting. So that's basically the report. We have been working hard for 3 years. We need more help, and we are working towards that right now. So, I also want to point out that this binder is in the office. I've mentioned this at council meetings, but for all of you, if you're interested in following our progress since June of 2022, every report is in here, as well as today's will be. Any questions? We'll have more to announce, I think, at the council meeting, probably in September. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Under new business, there's one item that I have, and that's the possibility of changing our year-end to the academic calendar, and that's John Purdy.
He talked, sorry, I left that on from the last time.
Oh, okay, we're not going to do, so that's,
We never ever voted on that, about changing it. It was an idea, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
It is a great idea.
Do we want to implement that then?
I'll look into what needs to happen and then.
yeah, I think it'd be helpful to have a little bit more information, John, just so what's it mean, who's affected, and but that would be great. He's volunteered, love that. Any other, Heather?
I just thought of doing this now. This is hot off the press. The deacons don't even know. That Nancy Taylor is making plans to settle in Ottawa. As of the first week in July, she's going to be going to a Chartwell building. And David has offered to bring her to church one of the next 2 or 3 Sundays, and it'll have to be worked out with her when might be good. But just to draw our attention that by July there will be no Taylor in the church, because Nancy was brought up as a child in this church and returned when she was retired. And in the meantime, her parents, Jack and Mabel, I'm going to ask her when they started being members here, because I think it must go back to the 40s. And Mabel lived till she was 102 or 103, so she was in our midst. So I'm just proposing that there's a special time at coffee hour to say goodbye to her, and we can figure it out as deacons when we know when she will come. But this is a sad time for us, but it's a good time for her because she'll be going to stay near family.
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to ask Bob to, if there's no other items, I'm going to ask Bob to close us in prayer.
Creator God, in celebration of the Spirit who rests upon and empowers and enables, we do work to continue this place's mission and ministry in the world. We pray that you will continue to use those efforts constructively and creatively and hopefully, faithfully. Continue to help our hold on one another to be warm, inclusive, loving embrace. Continue to let our doors be open and affirming of all who enter here. Continue to help us work forward in the way and the name of Christ, in whom we pray. Amen.
Can I have a motion for adjournment? Garth? And I'm assuming all in favor?
Yep.
Happy summer day. No, hardly. You're the one that's, you're the brain.